Hello and welcome to another episode of Spaghetti Western Podcast. Sorry for the delay, circumstances beyond our control, but we got it going. So this week is Season 3, Episode 14, number 79. We're going to talk about our ongoing history of the Spaghetti Westerns with The Sheriff, a 1959 Italian Western, whatever became of Jenny Agutter. We're going to talk about who are those guys, the great Benito Stefanelli. Film of the week is Day of Anger, and CD of the week is Django the Last Killer, double backed with a hole in the forehead. So let's get going. We're going to discuss right now our ongoing history of the spaghetti westerns and La Serifa, which is the sheriff. This is an Italian film production, 1959, by Betuano Film out of Rome. The director is R.M. White, who is actually Roberto Bianchi Montero. Screenplay is by a couple of regulars, Mario Amendola and Ruggero Macari. Cinematography is Sergio Pesci and Elio Polacci. I still have not found out whether Sergio Pesci is related to Franco Pesci. If anybody knows, please let me know. I'd like to find out myself. Music is by somebody I've never heard of, C. Louvre. Have no idea what the C stands for. The song involved in the movie is Colorado Joe, sung by Roberto Altamira. The cast consists of Tina Pica, who plays the sheriff Carmela Esposito. Ugo Tognazzi plays Colorado Joe. Spaghetti regular Tom Pileggi plays Donovan. Another regular, Livio Lorenzen, plays Jimmy Jesse. Benito Stefanelli plays Fulton Jesse. A couple of other names you might recognize, Paolo Gaslino as an Indian. Tino Scotti as the judge. Stelio Candelli as a Jesse's henchman. And Nino Musco as the bartender. The story goes as such. The citizens of Rio Chiuccio are being overrun by a gang of outlaws led by Donovan, played by Tom Pileggi, the owner of the saloon. The sheriff, an old Confederate soldier, tries to impose the rule of law, but the effort costs him his life. His widow Carmela, played by Tino Pica, a native of Naples, Italy, but transplanted in the West, decides to take the place of her deceased husband. She's stimulated with the infirm intention to defend the rule of law and the rights of the law-abiding citizens. Having proven her courage, Carmela is appointed sheriff. Skillful in handling a gun, she has a manly courage and the power to persuade others with her wit. With these powers leading by example and with the help of some wine, she succeeds in restoring peace to the country in compliance with the law. Having fulfilled her task, Carmela heads back to Naples. This is another American Western parody and stars Tina Pico and Ugo Tognazzi. It is available on Italian DVD I saw on the internet, but it gives no reference to the label or where you can order it. It may be a private pressing or a DVD-R, which was taken off of TV. As far as the people concerned with the film, we'll talk about Tina Pica, begin with. She was born Concetta Annunziata Pica on May 31st, 1884 in Naples, Italy. She began her career as an actress with her parents in a traveling theater company. Tina appeared in 2 silent films before her first talking picture, which was Il Cappello a Tre Punta, The Three-Pointed Hat, 1934. It was directed by Mario Camerini. She went on to become one of the most popular comic characters of post-war Italian cinema, appearing in some 66 films between 1934 and 63. Pica died in Naples on August 16th, 1968, at the age of 84. Her co-star in this film is Ugo Tognazzi, whose real name is Ottavio Tognazzi. He plays Colorado Joe. He was born in Cremona, Italy on March 23rd, 1922, and as a teen, he worked as an accountant in a salami factory while appearing in local amateur plays. In 1950, at the age of 28, he made his film debut in with a featured role in the war comedy I Cadetti di Guascagna in 1950, as I said. He then built up a solid comedy resume in primarily Neapolitan 50s features, including Para fa 90 in 1951. His first co-starring role, Hugo became a middle-aged European star in the 1960s, turning in a number of powerhouse character studies. He excelled as bon vivants, adulterous husbands, and other suave gents in primarily farcical comedies. He died on October 27, 1990, of a brain hemorrhage at the age of 68. Also in the film is Tom Pileggi, who was born Tamas Pileggi. He was born on November 26, 1921, in Budapest, Hungary. He was a little-known actor of the Italian cinema from the 1950s to the 1960s. He and his friend John Bartha came to Rome together. Pileggi had a typical English appearance, and in fact, he often played Anglo-Saxon characters. After he went to Rome, he appeared in over 200 films from 1958 to 1994. And last but not least is Livio Lorenzen, who plays Jimmy Jesse. Born in Trieste, Italy on May 6, 1923. He had many supporting roles in peplum and spaghetti westerns in the late 50s to the 1970s. He's best remembered for his appearance in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly as Baker, the man who pays Angel Eyes to find out information from Farmer Stevens as to the whereabouts of Jackson and the $200,000 in gold, only to have Stevens pay Angel Eyes to kill Baker, which Angel Eyes tell him, "You know me, when I'm paid, I always follow the job through." He then puts a pillow over Lorenzen's head and shoots him 3 times. Lorenzen died in La Toscana, Italy on December 31st, 1971. Okay, we'll jump to our Whatever Happened To feature, and this week we're going to talk about Jenny Agutter. Jennifer. Forgot we have an intro to this. Jennifer Ann Agutter was born in Taunton, Somerset, England on December 20th, 1952. She began her career as a child actress in 1964, appearing in East of Sudan Star and 2 adaptations of the Railway Children, the BBC's 1968 television serial, and the 1970 film version. She also starred in the critically acclaimed film Walkabout and the TV film The Snow Goose, both 1971, for which she won an Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama. She relocated to the United States in 1974 to pursue a Hollywood career, and subsequently appeared in Logan's Run in 1976, Amy in 1981, and An American Werewolf in London in 1981, followed by Children's Play in 1990. Parallel to her Hollywood film roles, Agutter continued appearing in high-profile British films such as The Eagle Has Landed in 1976 and Equus 1977, for which she won a BAFTA Award for Best Actress in a Supporting Role. She co-starred in The Survivor, an Australian adaptation of the James Herbert novel, and was nominated for an AACTA Award for Best Actress in a Leading Role. In 1990, she married Johan Tham, a Swedish hotelier, and returned to England in the early 1990s to pursue family life. Agutter shifted her focus to television, and in 2000 she appeared in a television adaptation of The Railway Children, this taking on the role of the mother. She has continued to work steadily in British television drama, and since 2012 she has starred in the BBC's primetime ratings hit Call of the Midwife. She also made a return to Hollywood filmmaking in 2012, appearing in The Avengers, and reprised her role in Captain America: The Winter Soldier in 2014. Today, she supports several charitable causes, mostly in relation to cystic fibrosis, a condition from which her niece suffers, and was appointed an Officer of the Order of the British Empire, an OBE, in 2012, birthday honors for charitable services. She's scheduled to appear in Return of the Railway Children in 2022 as Roberta Bobby Waterbury. Her only European Western was China 9, Liberty 37 in 1978 as Catherine Sobanek with Warren Oates and Fabio Testi. Okay, our featured star this week is Who Are Those Guys? Benito Stefanelli. Let me get a drink here. Okay, Benito Stefanelli was born in Rome, Italy on September 2nd, 1928. He's best known in the world for his roles as henchman in several Sergio Leone spaghetti western films, portraying gang members in the trilogy of films A Fistful of Dollars, 64, he plays Rubio. For A Few Dollars More, 65, he plays Luke. And The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, 66, he plays Angel Eye's henchman. He was also a stuntman, stunt coordinator, and master of arms. Benito was fluent in English and reportedly served as one of Clint Eastwood's interpreters together with Bill Tompkins on the set of Fistful of Dollars. Stefanelli also went by the pseudonyms Benny Reeves and Ben Stephan. So you might see some of the films he's credited in as that. His career in Euro Westerns precedes that of the Leone films, as he first appeared in The Sheriff and the Terror of Oklahoma, both in 1959, and Massacre at the Grand Canyon in 1963. He bumped into Sergio Leone on the Grand Via in Rome at 4 o'clock in the morning one day, and Sergio told him he was going to make a Western and asked Benito if he'd like to join the cast. Benito said yes immediately. He was one who found the mule, which was pulling a coal cart in Madrid that Clint rides in the beginning of Fistful of Dollars. Stefan takes credit for introducing the spins by the actors when they are shot. Benito was a stunt coordinator and master of arms on all of Leone's westerns. Several stunts that were performed went against Stefanelli's advice, such as Leone wanted Guy Calloway, played by Jose Torron, to escape from the hotel bedroom when Mortimer finds him, jumping down from the roof onto his horse and riding away. But Benito told Sergio it was dangerous, as the stuntman could land on the saddle incorrectly or the horse may move and he could injure himself. The next day, Sergio gave Benito the day off and had the stuntman perform the jump, and just as Benito said, the man landed on the saddle horn and severely injured himself. Another stunt that went wrong was Once Upon a Time in the West, where the stuntman falls from the roof on a flagstone building and crashes through the porch right onto the ground. The first take went perfect, but Sergio wanted a second take with 3 cameras rolling. This time the stuntman landed directly on his back and broke his spine. A third stunt was in Duck You Sucker, when Sean and Juan and his family are riding along the railroad tracks and the train comes. Benito was afraid that children, not being experienced riders, might have trouble controlling their horses that close to the engine, and told Sergio to hire stuntmen of small stature to ride the horses. Sergio refused, and luckily this time there was no problem getting the shot. When asked about his role as Orson White, the hired gunman hired to kill Talby in Day of Anger, he said he told Tonito Valerie he could only work a few days as he was busy on 3 other films at the time. So his role was cut short and the duel scene was hurried in the story. Benito appeared in 74 films between 1954 and 1991, 31 of which were Westerns. Benito Stefanelli died in Rome on December 18, 1999. He was 71. His son Marco Stefanelli, born in 1955, carried on carries on his father's legacy as an actor, stuntman, and master of arms. Let me go over a couple of Benito's more prominent roles, excuse me, such as, like I mentioned, all of the Dollar Trilogy roles. He was in Massacre at the Grand Canyon, The Big Gun Down in 65, he plays Jess. Fort Yuma Gold, he plays Yuko as Benny Reeves in 66. The Hellbenders in 66 as Slim. As we mentioned, Owen White in Day of Anger, 67. A Minute to Pray, A Second to Die in 1967. Wanted in 67, he plays William Billy Baker. Cemetery Without Crosses, he plays Ben Kane in 68. He was also Master of Arms and stunt coordinator on that film. Two Pistols and a Coward, he plays the New City Sheriff in 68. Also Sheriff Jefferson in Price of Power, 69. Trinity Is Still My Name, he plays Stingray Smith in 71. Massacre at Fort Holman, he plays Private Samuel Pickett. That was made in 72. My Name Is Nobody in 72. He plays Portley. He's also the stunt coordinator. The Genius in 75. He plays Mortimer. And his last Western was Macho Killers. In 77, he plays Sheriff Teddy Ross, Master of Arms. I'll post all of his filmography on YouTube when Jay posts the airing of this podcast. Okay, our film of the week. Okay, this is one of the greats, Day of Anger. Italian title is I Giorni dell'Ira. German title is Der Todrich Dienstags. It's a 1967 Italian-German co-production by Sancio Sancroschiap in Rome and Corona Film in Berlin. Directed by Tonino Valeri. It's based on the German title of Der Todrich Dienstags by Ron Baker, whose real name is Ralph O. Becker, and the translation is Death Road on Tuesdays. Screenplay is by Ernesto Gastaldi, Renzo Genta, Tonino Valeri. Cinematography is by Enzo Serafin. The music is by the great Rizzardolani. And the song It's Time to Go is sung by Krista Linder. The film stars Lee Van Cleef as Frank Talby. Giuliano Gemma as Scott Mary. Walter Rhea plays Murph Allen. Krista Linda plays Gwen or Betty. Andrea Bosick plays Abel Murray. Al Mullick plays Wild Jack. Giorgio Gagliolo plays Marshal Sheriff or Sheriff Nigel. Pepe Calvo appears as Blind Bill. Benito Stefanelli as Owen White. Ricardo Palacios pops up as the Bowie Cantina owner. Romano Pupo as Hart Perkins. Remember, he always plays Lee Van Cleef's stunt double. There's a lot of faraway riding scenes, which appear in this film quite a bit. The story goes as a scruffy garbage boy named Scott Mary, Giuliano Gemma, becomes the pupil of famed gunfighter Frank Talby, played by Lee Van Cleef. The stage for confrontation is set when the gunman becomes unhinged and overruns the boy's town through violence and corruption. The tables are turned when Scott Mary uses the lessons taught to him by Talby against his teacher. This is one of the best non-Leone films, up there with The Big Gun Down. Van Cleef and Gemma work well together, and the story moves along in a nice clip, so you're never bored. Excellent score by Artolani really adds to the enjoyment. If you'll notice in this film, the Mexican village is Los Albericocas, where Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More were filmed. Scott Mary's mule is named Sartana, an obvious reference to the Johnny Garco character. And the theme song is used in Django Unchained, where Jamie Foxx is practicing his shooting skills against the snowman. Al Moloch from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly has a featured role as Mad Jack in this film. Jay and I have done previous episodes on Lee Van Cleef, number 25, and Juliana Gemin, number 41, so we won't cover them here, but we will talk about Walter Rhea, who plays Murph Allen Short. Walter Rhea was born in Neunkirchen, German Empire on August 22nd, 1894. Having debuted on the stage, Rhea began his film career in Germany during the silent era. During World War II, he emigrated to Britain and became a regular performer in British films, often villainous or aristocratic roles. Both during and after the Second World War, he played Nazi officers or agents. From the 1950s onwards, he returned to West Germany to appear in films and television, alternating with continued roles in British cinema. He was the father of film director Wolf Rhea, who directed him in the 1963 film Cairo. Day of Anger was his only Euro-Western. He died in Rosenheim, West Germany on November 21st, 1980 at the age of 96. Also, Andrea Bosick played Abel Murray, the chief villain in this film. He was born Ignacio Andre Bosick in Gamilsko, Serbia on August 15, 1919. He appeared in more than 50 films between 1951 and 1985, 13 of which were Euro-Westerns. Bosick died in Bologna, Italy on January 9, 2012. He was 92. Okay, now we'll get into the autograph of the week. Okay, my autograph of the week, as you can see, is by Ingeborg Schoner. She was in two Westerns, Buffalo Bill, Hero of the Far West, as Mary Peterson, and the Carl May borderline Western, Legacy of the Incas, where she plays Miss Rudy. Next, we'll talk about Book of the Week. Okay, this one's a little bit bizarre. This one's Western Cult by Marlborough Country Books, Edamar, and it comes out of Milan, Italy. It's by Fabio Santini, 1997. And even though it's called Western, there's a lot of pictures in here on other Westerns, but the main body of work is the Leone Westerns. It's still available on Abe Books for $18.10 with a shipping cost of $14.28. So you're talking about $33. Well worth it if you're a collector of Leone photographs and books on Leone. Okay, we'll talk about CD of the week now. Okay, this is another double CD. It's Le Ultimo Killer and Un Bocco in Front. Le Ultimo Killer is The Last Killer, or Django the Last Killer. Roberto Pregadio came out in 67, the movie. The other one is Un Buco in Front, A Bullet in the Forehead, 1967, again by Roberto Pregadio and Walter Rosati. Both of these films star Anthony Ghidra. This particular CD came out of Italy on GDM Music. It's GDM 2020. It has 22 tracks of music, 62 minutes of listening time. It also contains a 4-page booklet, and its value ranges from anywhere from $22 to $55. If you want to pay the price, it's on Amazon for $79. That concludes the CD of the week, and now we'll finish with the weekly news. Okay, the weekly news this week, we have a little of everything. Uh, First of all, Rancho Leone in Tabernas, Spain has been put up for sale by the Rodriguez family, who are retiring after decades of operating the McBain Ranch House as a saloon. Later, additional buildings were constructed to make it the Western town that it is today. In my opinion, they ruined it when they added the additional buildings. The ranch house was designed and constructed by Carlos Simi for the 1967 film Once Upon a Time in the West. Now we have some bad news. In Tabernas, the loss of two iconic spaghetti Western locations happened this week. Much needed rain in Tabernas has brought us bad news for an iconic location for the Dollar trilogy, an important part of the Fistful of Dollars, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Boulder has collapsed in recent days. The large rock now almost completely obstructs the Otero Rambla. This was the site where Blondie and Tuco split the reward money after his first hanging scene. The second location to find destruction was a house in Los Albaricoques. This house was seen in For a Few Dollars More, Day of Anger, and Tepepa, also known as Blood and Guns. Partial wall collapse, as you can see on the far left side. This house had been abandoned for 15 years, and the town tried to get someone to restore it, but it hadn't been restored, so it's basically a vacant house. A new Italian CD was released this week, La Resa de Conte, which is The Big Gun Down, by composer Ennio Morricone. The film was directed by Sergio Salima and starred Lee Van Cleef, Tomas Milian, and Walter Barnes. It's on the Beat label, Beat BCM 9604. It has 25 tracks of listening with 54 minutes, 9 seconds of listening time. Extras include a booklet, and it was released on March 31st, 2022. Next, we have two passings this week. First one is French voice actor and dubber Jean-Louis Fauré, who died in France on March 27th, 2022. He was 65. Fauré was born in France in 1957 and began his voice acting career in 1970s. He first furnished additional voices for the 2001-2003 TV series, The New Adventures of Lucky Luke. This is a cartoon version, French version, not the Terence Hill version. Also, we have Lars Bloch, German character actor who died in Rome, Italy after surgery on March 20. I'm sorry, he wasn't German, he was Danish. After surgery on March 27, 2022, he was born in Hellerup, Denmark on August 16, 1938, and moved to Rome, Italy after his military service. His large, hulking blonde physique was noticed and signed. He was signed to appear in 2 films directed by Lucio Fulci. His roles after that were usually small supporting or character parts, including appearances in 9 spaghetti westerns. They were Navajo Joe in '66 as a Swedish immigrant seen on the train, A Stranger in Town in '66 as Lieutenant Ted George Harris, also last name of Stafford, Alleluia and Sartana, Sons of God in '72, he plays Danish. On The Third Day Arrived the Crow in '72 as Bill. The Return of Hallelujah in '72 is Cain. Trinity and Sartana, Those Sons of Bitches in '72 is Clyde. Behold the Strange Stimulating Smell of Dollars in '73 as a soldier. Shanghai Joe in '73 as the Wells Fargo client. Redcoat in '74 as Andy O'Brien, was his last Euro Western. After his acting career ended, he was employed as a sales manager for DVD productions of Italian films for the Japanese market and was occasionally involved in the production of several feature films. He was instrumental in the release of the Japanese Macaroni DVD set. So that concludes this week's episode. I do want to mention, check out Jay's Retro Time Machine. It's a podcast on YouTube, so check that out when you have a free moment. That concludes this week's episode, so we'll see you next week. And as I always say, adios, amigos.